All right, back again. Second video for 10, 11U age baseball players. Let's start off talking about hitting. Always sit on the fastball and then adjust to the off speed. But that if less than 2 strikes, you can just check or stop your swing, right? If 2 strikes or if you're committed, the easy thing to do is to kind of forget about power, focus on full contact and launch angle. Aim low with kind of an upward angle, right? Assume the off speed is going to kind of drop at the end. Have a downward angle, so you want to meet with equal upward angle towards kind of a straight line with your bat's angle and the ball's angle, right? So normal pitch fastball might be coming with less of an angle. You might want to meet it with a little bit less of an angle. But we're going to talk about the off speed mostly here. And just meet with that upward trajectory and poke it over the infield, right? It doesn't have to be, definitely not full power, but because you're trying to slow down your swing because you've already started, too soon. You got fooled by the off speed, but you want to get at least 3/4 to a full rotation. Definitely get your arms extended if possible. And, you're just trying to slow your swing, wait on the ball and meet it, right out front where you normally would a fastball if you weren't early, if you were right on time. So I mentioned that's the easy route to do. The hard thing to do would be maybe try to reset or reload somewhere in the middle, which I think is not very hard to do, but still gets good results, is to kind of just hold your original load. Like if you start to load and then you see it's an off speed, just stay back and wait and then, go from there instead of coming forward and then, doing it all again. So that's, kind of your three options there if you get fooled by an off speed or you've already started at least your legs before you should have, because now it's a slower pitch, so, remember, which way does a curveball break? Usually down and what? Usually away. So if it's a right-handed pitcher, it's going to break down and away to the left, away over right for a right-handed batter, in on a left-handed batter. Left-handed pitcher throwing a curveball is going to break down and in on the left-handed batter, on a left-handed away on a left-handed pitcher, in on a right-handed batter. Excuse me. So work on both throwing and hitting the off speed. That's important at this age. That's where pitchers can start to, really trick up the big batters on the team, the leadoff hitters, the number 4 hitter, power hitter, stuff like that, right? So a good thing you can do for practice is to, have pitchers throw 5 pitchers, two batters each, and they have to throw 2 or 3 fastballs and 2 or 3 off-speed pitches, whether that's a curve or change or slider, whatever you got at this age. Even if all you have is a change, work on it, just throw a change at the same strength that you would your fastball. Let's just change that grip to all 4 or 5 fingers, or sometimes the circle change where you do that and just have the 3 on there. But see what works best for you. Hopefully you get it dropping a little bit at the end, coming out a little bit slower and dropping at the end there. So and then you look, as a batter, you look at the pitcher to see if there's any tells, right? When we're talking about hitting an off-speed pitch, and recognizing it is a big part of that. To hit it, obviously, it's the first and most important part to hitting it, right, is to keep your timing down. And if you can recognize it's going to be off-speed, then you can hold your load for a little longer. So ways to recognize that, right? If you're looking at a baseball, right, like this, and you see the fingers over the top, 2 fingers over the top like that, that should tell you it's probably looking at a fastball, right? If you start seeing more fingers, you might be looking at a changeup, right? And then for like a curve, you might be seeing something totally different, right? This looks way different than this, right? Different looks. You can help recognize if you're looking at his hand, and then also different release points. Maybe sometimes they might release way out on the side, a little bit normal, and then maybe over the top for, a breaking ball or curveball, or somebody might have a sidearm delivery for a slider, things like that, that if you're paying attention and watching when you're in the dugout and not batting or on deck, and paying attention to the pitchers, that you can maybe pick up some tells that can help you and your teammates if you communicate that to them, obviously. So You know, another thing that can be a tell is the follow through, right? Sometimes the hardest follow throughs are on the, the breaking balls. They're pulling down really hard, trying to snap it and roll it over those fingers. So might be too late by the follow through, but it can be another teller indicator of what's going on, what's coming at you. So, move on to talking about pitching and hitting, and I think recognizing the off-speed pitch as a hitter and then throwing it as a pitcher. So difference between throwing off-speed for a swing to where it drops off the table, it starts in the zone and then drops off the table, and you're trying to get the batter to swing at it, something, a great pitch when you've got, a favorable count, 2 strikes and 0 balls, or 1 ball, or even 2 balls. You've got that, ball to play with before you have to throw something that is going to be a strike. So that's a good pitch there. And then there's also, just want to make y'all aware that there's the option for throwing a breaking ball for a strike that starts out of the zone wherever, usually high, and then breaks down into the strike zone. And so usually you're trying to get the batter to see it and think, oh, it's too high, and then it breaks in the zone for a strike. They don't swing, and you throwing it breaking ball for a strike instead of trying to get a swing to get your strike. So the last one, throwing it for a strike, is much less used, but if you can master that and mix it in, especially if you can recognize which batters and when to use each one, that's just an extra level to your off speed that can really keep even the best hitters off balance and, most importantly, off base, right? At least disrupt them from being the predictable power hitters, or, on base for average hitters that they normally are, leaders for their team, right? You're chopping the head off the snake. If you're rattling their captain, it'll trickle down, and that's an advantage for our team, right? So another advantage I want to talk about is a switch hitter, right? This is a good age where you kind of practice on your own time switch hitting, so that if you get in a situation where you'd rather be batting from the other side of the batter's box, it'd be beneficial to you. For whatever reason, you could do that. Some examples would be like if you're facing a pitcher with a notorious curveball, you can choose whether you want that curveball breaking in towards you or breaking away. A lot of people want it breaking in because away, if it's away, then sometimes, like, usually might be in high school before you see this, but some pitchers, say a right-handed pitcher on a right-handed batter, he can throw a curveball right at his head, and that batter might dive out of the box, and then that ball breaks over the strike zone, and, he gets his strike. It definitely can happen and has happened, and if you've got that ability to just say, you know what, I'd rather not deal with that. I'm going to step to the other side of the batter's box and see it coming in at me the whole time instead of starting at me and then going, away. It's just an option you have if you can start practicing switch hitting and get to where it doesn't have to feel comfortable. You just have to know that it's reliable and it produces results. Sometimes it can feel uncomfortable for a long time, but you can still be really good at it, and hit on both sides. Even if it doesn't feel comfortable, you've done it enough that you have a good, solid, reproducible swing, and you make good contact, and you can do it. So just the little things here that you can do to adjust and take advantage, get the little advantages, as we get further away from the fastball right down the middle, the more you're going to need to use your brain and apply these and other techniques to get the barrel on the ball, keep your batting average up, keep helping your team, right? A fast pitcher, you might shorten your hands, keep them closer to your body on your swing. Here's another thing I want to talk about while we're on hitting that I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this, but undercutting the ball is something I see a lot. I don't know another term for it other than undercutting. So a normal swing, you want to be extending your hands as you're swinging, and when you get out in front of yourself where you want to meet it, you're going to have both your arms extended, right? Your front hand's going to be facing down, your back hand's going to be facing up. Boom, see how, on it right there. A lot of this undercutting, what I see is people warming up and doing this, right? There's no reason your elbows should rock where the front one's going up and the back one's coming down to do this, to do that. there's not much power in that swing at all, as opposed to this, right? Where you're extending and turning at the same time and get extended as you make contact. So I think that is where this undercut comes in, and also getting your hands out too early and then pulling back towards you instead of getting further away from your body the whole time is what you want to be doing if it's a good pitch where you're getting full extension, right? If it's inside, yes, keep your hands closer to your body, but still you're doing this. You're not ever, I think, doing this. You're more still doing this, right? Still. So maybe work on that. The undercut thing is where if you're a left-handed batter, when you hit it, it goes with that sideways spin off towards the third base dugout. If you're a right-handed batter, the opposite. It does because you're hitting kind of under the ball, undercutting it, and putting that, right first base dugout spin if you're right-handed. So that's just something that is, I think, taking away a lot of power and causing a lot of foul balls and less full contact, because I think you're staying in the zone less than you do when you are here the whole time, right? Like I'm in that plane the whole time when I'm doing this. Whereas when I'm doing this, you're kind of coming in the plane, but I don't know, it comes in weird, and it's real easy to get under the ball and put that crazy spin that either I'm lefty, so that, third baseman can run over and catch in foul territory. And foul ball's not doing any good unless you got fooled and you're just trying to stay alive. So wanted to talk about that. Maybe, yeah, I'll sneak this last bit into something that the first part we've already talked about, but this is the next level of it, I guess, right? Like rotating yourself or placing yourself and your teammates as fielders when we're on defense, right? Like we've talked a lot, about, okay, if it's a lefty, you might shift a little left, right? If we see that lefty's, really late and fouling the ball, then we might shift back to the right some, right? If he's hitting it down the third base line as a lefty, then we might shift everyone towards third. And that's kind of what I'm talking about, that second adjustment here. So, when you come up and, right-handed hitter is late and he's hitting a foul ball down the first base line, right? Everybody on defense shift left, your teammates shift left, so your coach doesn't have to, right? And then, let's say his coach tells him to be early and he scoots back in the box and chokes up, and then also now you suspect an off-speed pitch is coming next, or you see our coach or our catcher give the off-speed sign, right? You might shift back towards that neutral middle position, because the guy who's just been consistently late is now likely to be more on time or early. So it's kind of a nuance here, but if you plug in and you're making these fine-tune adjustments to get yourself in the best position to make a play, right? It's not just a lot of people can recognize that he's tending one way or another, but to recognize when they make a correction and you correct yourself too, and adjust to the adjustments, that's next level baller right there. So we will end on that one, come back in the next video and talk about some situational stuff, maybe infield fly rule, drop third strike, stuff like that. Maybe get into some catcher stuff. Maybe if we have time, touch a little bit on visualization techniques or stuff like that. So positive imagery,